You literally feel at your worst or at your loneliest around other people. I could be in my bedroom on my own and I feel fine. Like, I'd feel fine. I feel better, if anything. Like, the moment I step out and I have to step into uni, that is when the dread kicks in. Like, I can't, like, sometimes when you're struggling with friendships at uni, you feel like you're not the first choice. Like, you feel like other people that you're friends with are actually better friends with someone else. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, okay, you've got your friends, but then they've got other friends that they're like better friends with. Like, I'm probably their acquaintance, whereas I see them as a friend, just because I've got that few friends that just anyone I speak to regularly is like a friend now. Oh, I can't emphasize this enough. So much of what you see is fake. And this isn't even like celebs and influencers. This is genuinely like at uni. Like, you would be blown away and shocked by just how much of what you see in a picture is not actually like as fun and exciting, larger than life than you think it is. Why is making friends at uni so hard? I don't know why the conventional advice didn't work for me. Like, go to societies, go join the group chats, make friends with your flatmates. Like, none of that just didn't work for me. That made no sense. None of it worked for me. I joined societies, got ignored. I joined the group chats. There were like people who were super loud, like always in the group chats, and I just felt like there's no way that me, someone who's quiet and introverted, can like mingle in with that and try and like get my voice heard in the group chat. Made friends with my flatmates. We were all civil. We all got along, but like we weren't like besties. I feel like the general advice that people give you for making friends at uni just isn't gonna like get you the friendships that you want or the friendships that you see other people like having and people talk about. Like, I feel like the general vibe of uni is everyone's got like a good friendship group, like 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 people, and like they all hang out, they all get along. That sort of friendship group is so hard to make, just being in group chats, making friends with your flatmates, and then like joining societies. Like, that just does not work for me, at least. If I remember all the way back to my first year, because I'm in uni on a 5-year course, I'm doing medicine, but back in first year I was literally at probably my loneliest point, because I felt like I was doing as much as I could, but it just wasn't getting me anywhere. Like, I remember in my seminars, like where we have these small group sessions with like 10 people and a teacher at the front, we'd have these small little rooms and there'd be like chairs scattered around. I remember being terrified for any situation where the teacher would be like, get into 2s and 3s. Please, like, who am I actually going to pair up with? No one's going to want to pair up with me. I don't know a single other person. Well, I take it back. I know every single person in this room, but like no one in this room knows me, sort of thing. Like, I don't know them well enough to pair up with them. Like, I became an expert in like sussing out who else was also by themselves and who else was a bit lonely, because I'd be like, okay, I'll figure out like who else is like a loner and I'll pair up with them. I got so good at that. I low-key didn't even stress about it anymore, because I was like, I'll just figure out who else is like on their ones, like, and then I'll pair up with them. The weirdest thing about feeling lonely at uni as well is you literally feel at your worst or at your loneliest around other people. I could be in my bedroom on my own and I feel fine. Like, I'd feel fine. I feel better, if anything. Like, the moment I step out and I have to step into uni, I have to step into a lecture, into a seminar, into like a teaching session, that is when the dread kicks in. It's just so much more lonely when you're around other people. It's like they make it obvious, like them chatting away in their little bubbles, everyone and their cat is like ignoring you and you're just sat there by yourself. Like, it just makes it even worse. I don't know what it is, but literally I could sit in my room for hours, days, even weeks, but it's when I have to step out that I would feel awful. I remember COVID came around, like the lockdowns where everyone obviously isolated at home for ages, and I honestly was like, oh, what a relief, because I was at uni for ages, like putting up with other people who just would make me feel worse unintentionally. They're not trying to make me feel bad, they're not trying to make me feel lonely, but it's just being around other people who have everything going on, they're having the time of their life, and then I'm just there on my own, struggling to make friends. I'm trying, it's not working out. That would make me feel worse. I actually googled this as well, because I was like, that is so weird for you to feel lonely around other people and not feel lonely when you're on your own. Like, that just doesn't make sense, does it? And apparently, according to Google, this is a very common symptom of depression or anxiety. Okay, not Google reading me for filth. And then it even says there, like, why do I feel lonely when surrounded by people? Apparently there's a few reasons, but it's because you feel like you have to hide your true self. Why is this turned into a therapy session again? I do this in all my videos. Now that I've read it there and I think back, I definitely felt that in a way. Like, I felt like I was hiding my true self. I mean, was that why I felt lonely though? I felt lonely because I just felt like everyone else was in a group and I wasn't. And I felt like I couldn't connect with anyone. And I guess, you know, if you can't connect with anyone, you do have to hide your true self because you don't want to get judged. Like, to avoid other people judging you and being horrible and giving you even more of a side eye than they already do, because I already get a side eye because I'm sat by myself in every session. Yeah, I was probably hiding myself, to be honest. But then with that, I mean, with that thing on Google, like, it's hard to go into societies and it's hard to go into a new setting, or even like your next teaching session. Like, it's hard to go into your next thing and just like be yourself all of a sudden. Like, when you've been quite quiet and reserved this whole time. Like, I feel like it's so much harder than people make out to be. Like, I mean, that is the whole point of this video. Making friends at uni is so hard. I just feel like it is. Maybe because I'm quiet, maybe it's harder for quiet, boring people, but I think if you're a loud, outgoing person, it's probably easier. I guess it's because people can't get a gist of your personality as well. Like, if you're quiet, you know, like, we don't know you yet, like, we need to find out more. Whereas if you're loud and outgoing, people can see who you are, then you're going to naturally attract the people who are like you and people who are going to get along with you, because your personality is obvious. Whereas I think for me as a quiet person, it's like my personality is not that obvious. It's hard to tell what I'm like. Maybe that's what it is. You feel like you have to hide your true self. That is so deep and personal. Like, it's very true. Very, very true. I definitely think being quiet has something to do with it, because I feel like quiet people at uni probably have more of a hard time than this than people who are a bit more loud and outgoing. I say loud as if it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be loud. I mean kind of more extroverted and more outspoken. It's not a bad thing, it's just the opposite of quiet, if you know what I mean. Being really quiet probably doesn't help as well, because you're naturally the sort of person that will be really in your head and really like, you know, thinking things through and trying to predict what will happen. Each time you go up to someone, you're like rehearsing what you're going to say in your head. Like, I do that so much. It's so bad. I need to stop, because when you over practice something, you kind of make yourself worse. I think sometimes when I'm going up to someone or going to literally order something at a drive-through, like, why am I rehearsing what I'm going to say? I think I just need to trust myself. Like, don't rehearse. Try and ignore this part of my brain. Say what I'm going to say. Like, I'm not a robot. Like, I know how to speak English. It's literally my first language. Like, why am I rehearsing what I'm about to say? But I think when you're someone who is a bit quiet and a bit shy even, you just get into the habit of like, each time you go up to someone, just trying too hard and putting pressure on yourself, and like, you're just rehearsing things and you're like overthinking what they're saying, or you're overthinking where they're looking. Like, the moment I'd speak to someone and they're like looking to the side or like looking around, I'm like, oh, I'm too boring. Like, oh, another person that thinks I'm boring again. Like, you get into these negative cycles in your head of just like telling yourself bad things. What if they're just like, what if there's a fly? What if there's like a plane that's just flown in the background? Like, you don't know what they're looking at. Like, don't put things in your head that aren't true. I do that a lot. I don't know if you guys do, but I do that a lot, and I need to stop. It's a bad habit as well, because it, you know, you're telling yourself that like you can predict all these things. You can predict what someone thinks of you. You can predict why they're looking around. You can predict why this person hasn't messaged you back. You know, why haven't they messaged me? They're online right now. Like, what are they doing? They're just ignoring me. Like, you don't know. You're predicting all of these things, but you don't know the truth. You don't know what's actually happened. You're not Jesus, or you're not, do you know what I mean? You're not like a God that's all knowing and all seeing. You can't predict these things. You just overthink everything, like, because you're so deprived and you don't have any friends and you just want to make friends, you'll overthink everything. Even going beyond overthinking, like overthinking a conversation or interaction, you'll then start to like look at yourself and be like, oh, is it because I'm this? Is it because I'm too quiet? Like, I thought I was too quiet for a while, and that was why I didn't have any friends. I started like pointing the finger at myself, and I feel like that is what will happen. I think uni is such a lonely place where you're literally made to sit in your room because you literally live on your own, and if you don't have the time after uni because you're so busy with your coursework or your studies, like, you will literally just sit on your own 24/7. To make friends at uni, no one ever tells you, but you have to make such an effort. It's not going to happen by magic. It's not going to happen naturally. Like, if you don't go out to societies and like meet up with people and push yourself out there, like, it's not going to happen. Societies aren't the only way to make friends. Like, I made most of my friends and my friendship group now from like meeting up with people that you get along with in your course, outside of uni and outside of your course. Like, if you get along with people or get along with someone, did you meet up for a coffee or like go for a meal? Like, do something outside of uni, and like, if you keep building that and keep doing that, I feel like a friendship will naturally happen. Like, that is what happened to me, and I'm so glad that I had that phase where I was like going out so much. Like, I was going out so much at a point where I was like, it was actually affecting my uni work, but it paid off because I've now got a group of friends that I'm like so grateful for, and I don't have that loneliness feeling anymore. But yeah, like back in first year, like, I was literally, if I wasn't overthinking like a situation in like a lecture or a seminar, I was overthinking just about myself. Like, oh, do I need to be more loud, more like out there, like more outgoing? Don't critique yourself at all if you're struggling with loneliness and you feel like you don't have any friends, because it's nothing to do with you as a person aren't gonna make friends. It's just like your current situation. You could take a flower out of the ground and put it in a bunch of stones. It's not gonna grow, but it's gonna grow in like the soil where you put water with it. Like, if you're not making friends, it's probably just because you're in the wrong environment. You need to go into different environments where you'll feel like you're around the right people that support you, make you feel like you're just welcomed and like they care about you, and your personality is like celebrated rather than critiqued. I had a phase as well, like everywhere I would go, I'd feel feel like my personality was just really boring. I feel like such a boring person, and I guess it's because of the quietness. Like I feel like if you're a quiet person, sometimes you will feel like you're really boring, but that is not true. Again, I think you're just around the wrong people, or you're just you're around yourself too much. Like you're telling yourself bad things too much, and you can stop. If you're around other quiet people, or people who are introverted, people who don't want to go out drinking all the time, or people who just like more quiet little things like going to coffee shops and like going to the library, going to Waterstones, then you'll feel like you're more like, that's more your scene, that's more your arena, that's more like where you belong, rather than in like group chats with people who are talking about going to like Spoons on a Friday. Like you just need to think about your situations. I think that is a big thing that will help with your loneliness. I think if you're trying all the stereotypical things to make friends, like societies, group chats, if you're trying all the stereotypical things, try things that are a bit more like niche and different. Societies, by the way, are very broad. I'm using a massive blanket statement and painting all societies like they're all equal. Like they're definitely not equal. Some societies are better than others. I definitely think there's some societies that are more geared towards introverts and people who are a bit more quiet. You know what? The number one rule when it comes to societies, if you want to make friends, you need to go at the start of the year. I made the mistake of joining 1 or 2 societies at the start, not really going. Like I wasted that money because you have to pay for societies. My uni, I think it's £5 to become a member, £5 or £10. It's not a lot. Keep in mind it's a year membership. I know it's good value for money, but people always say join as many as possible. Like, okay, I'd love to join 10, but £50 when I've only got £20 left to get me through the month is a big ask. I only joined a limited number, and then I was like, I can't remember why I didn't go. I just didn't have time or something. Then I was like, okay, I'll go in the middle of the year. That's not gonna work. That was the wrong decision, because by that point, the society is already like, it's already formed. They've already done events. They've already like done social. You definitely have to go at the start of the year if you want to feel more at ease. I think like you can go at the middle of the year and totally meet people, but when I did that, last time I did that, literally I joined a feminist society group, and the girls there just like fully didn't talk to me. Like I made an effort as well. I made an effort in the first 5 minutes to like talk to the main girl, the president, spoke to her a little bit, tried to get the conversation going, like, oh, you know, nice event, oh, you've got snacks. Like I was trying my best, but she was just not having it. And then she just carried on talking to like her other committee members. This was an event as well. It was a perfect event for someone that was shy and someone who was very quiet. There wasn't many people there. It was quite a small room. I think there was literally the whole committee, the president, vice pres, other people, like people who it's their job to run the event. So it was like the event runners, and then I think only 1 or 2 other people. Like it was such a small event. Most of the people at the event were the people running the event, if you know what I mean. But they just weren't that like receptive to me. I've been a member for the whole year, but they've never seen me before. Like surely you'd want to like get to know me, and like surely you'd want to ask some questions, like where have you been? But yeah, I mean, going in the middle of the year, I don't know if I'd do that again. I literally am traumatized by that incident, because I mean, I get PTSD sometimes when the teachers are like get into 2s and 3s, because I remember just how awful I would feel back in first year. But I don't know if I'd ever go to a society event again, like in the middle of the year, because that one was just so bad. They were just not having it. Go at the start of the year. That is a huge thing. If you can't go at the start of the year, make the most of the people on your course that you get along with. Like literally meet up for coffees and stuff. I'm meeting up with this girl on my course for a coffee because me and her get along. Like I saw her on my exam day, and we were just talking about how like nervous we were and how like this year has not been that good for teaching, which is a whole other topic. Even to this day, even though now I've still got a good group of friends, I don't want to put a lid on it and stop future friendships happening. Like I'm still meeting up with people and still doing what worked. And it can only be like a little conversation. Like me and this girl only had a short, I want to say 20-minute conversation, and then we messaged here and there on Instagram, like a couple days stopped. So it was just on and off. It wasn't like there's no pressure with it, but me and her are going for a coffee, and I just feel like if you do that more and more and you just get into the habit of making friends that way, then I honestly think that would blossom into something, because it has for me. And do you know what, that way as well, it's like less forced. It's honestly because you choose to meet up with that person, and less because it's like a society pressure. Like sometimes with the societies, you just kind of have to go with the flow and go with the crowd. Like if everyone's going to this social this weekend, then you feel like you have to go, even if there's people that you do or don't get along with there. But I think when you put it in your hands and it's in your control, and you only meet up with people that you want to on the weekends with coffees or whatever, it's more people you want to meet, and you get to go to the places you want to go, rather than just doing what the society wants to do. Sometimes when you're struggling with friendships at uni, you feel like you're not the first choice. Like you feel like other people that you're friends with are actually better friends with someone else. I'm probably their acquaintance, whereas I see them as a friend, just because I've got that few friends that just anyone I speak to regularly is like a friend now. I think the more choices you have of people in your life, you get to choose more who's your friend and who's not. Whereas if you just have like 3 or 4 people that you know, they're all going to be your friend because you don't know many other people. It's just, we all have such different experiences of uni. It's just so weird. Like, I actually can't wrap my head around it, because 10 different people could be in the same year group doing the same course, but oh my god, the experience we all have, totally different. Like totally different. It's just, oh, it's so weird. Some people are having the time of their life, and some of us are like crying ourselves to sleep with that sad. And some of us need a hairbrush because our hair's that tangled. To be fair, I say life of the party and like I say having the time of your life. I think, I don't want to say no one's having the time of their life at uni, but definitely if you're in that comparison era where you're comparing yourself to everyone and you're on social media all the time, like comparing, oh my god, like do not believe everything you see. Oh, I can't emphasize this enough. So much of what you see is fake. And this isn't even like celebs and influencers. This is genuinely like at uni. Like you would be blown away and shocked by just how much of what you see in a picture or what you see in like a June dump or an April dump is not actually like as fun and exciting as like larger than life than you think it is. Like you don't compare your actual life and your life, which you know is genuine, because you see everything in your life, to just something that's on Instagram, like 6-7 little slides on Instagram. People are only going to post the best parts. People are only going to post the parts where like they get along with their friends. They're not going to show the part where they had a massive argument and someone literally got blocked on Instagram. Like no one's going to show the hard parts and the bits that are horrible. I definitely don't. And the thing is, I think that's especially true with large friendships, because what's that phrase? Two's for company, three's a crowd. I'm not sure I agree with that, but definitely the larger a friendship group is, the more drama. Like it's just maths. Like the more people there are, the more voices, the more opportunities to clash, the more like just drama that can happen. Like if you're sat there by yourself thinking, all I want is a friendship group, all I want is like a tight-knit circle of friends, like girls to go out with, girls to go to the beach with, girls to go for coffee with. Like if that's what you want, then I trust yourself, trust the process, trust like the next steps in your future, the next few months. It can happen and it will happen. I'm sure of that, because I was literally in that position a few years ago thinking like, when is this going to happen for me? And it's happened. But do not compare yourself in the meantime. You're only seeing like the highlights, or you know, the icing on the cake. You're not seeing the cake. And if you think about it, when you think of a cake, we always wait to like see what's inside. Like, you know, when people on Facebook do those weird like cooking videos and they like make a cake and put icing on it, like you wait for them to cut it and see what's inside the cake. Like that's the main bit, and that's like the whole bit of the friendship. Is this making sense? Like the icing, which is the Instagram, the stuff you see online, like the Facebook, the Be Real, like that is just the icing. Like that's not the real stuff. The real stuff is the cake, and like you don't see that. So don't compare yourself to stuff that you're not even seeing. The thing is as well, I think if you're in this position where you don't have friends, you don't want to let it get you down to the point where you turn into like a pushover, or you turn into a wet wipe, you turn into someone that's just like you're happy for people to walk all over you and take advantage of you. Like you don't want that to happen. Back then I thought of it as like, I'm just going to be nice to everyone. But now, as I've like matured and grown up, I just see it as like I was a people pleaser. Like I would just say yes to everything. Like the moment someone asked me for a favour, or can you do this, can you drop me off, can you help me with this, I'd just be like yes immediately. Like I was such a people pleaser. Anything that people wanted me to do, I would do. And it was because I wanted to make friends and because I wanted people to like me. But the more you do that, the more you'll lose yourself. You'll lose your voice and your inner like opinion, because you're just constantly doing what other people want you to do. It's so much easier said than done. And like literally I fell into that trap without even knowing it. I didn't know I was doing it at the time. I only know that I was doing it now because I can sit and reflect, and I was like, oh my god, why did I go out my way for this person? Like I'm sure we've all done it, where we've gone out of our way like to do something for someone and we've said yes too quickly, and then you realise like, why did I actually just say yes to that? Like, why did I say yes to stay up all night and help you with this weird project that you've got going on? Like, when I literally don't want to do that. Like, I literally said yes to stuff, like, too quick. And I'm just like, why did I do that? Don't lose yourself in that process of waiting to make friends, trying to make friends. Don't lose yourself. That is the end of this therapy session. I wish I knew all of these things in first year. So I've definitely made this for, like, my younger self. I wish I had this video before I came to uni, when I was in first year having a tough time. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.